The German shepherd wouldn't stop digging at the flooded basement door. Thaddeus Cole had seen Atlas alert to IEDs in Kandahar, detect PTSD episodes before they happened, and once refused to let him drive drunk on the anniversary of his discharge. But he'd never seen the dog this frantic. Claws scraping wood, a low whine building in his throat that made Thaddeus's combat instincts flare. Atlas heel. Nothing. The dog ignored him completely. Sharon, the real estate agent, checked her watch. Mr. Cole, the basement's been underwater for 3 weeks. It's a teardown. We should. Atlas barked, sharp, urgent, the specific cadence Thaddeus recognized from deployment. Human detected. Move now. Something's wrong. Thaddeus opened the door. The smell hit him first, mold, rot, and something else. Soap. Fresh soap. The stairs descended into black water 3 feet deep. Atlas was already swimming toward the back wall with purpose. Atlas! Thaddeus waded in, gasping as freezing water soaked through his jeans. The dog swam straight to what appeared to be solid concrete and began pawing at it, whining. Thaddeus reached the wall, running his hands along the surface. His fingers found a seam, barely visible, expertly hidden. A latch. He pulled. A section of wall swung inward with a hydraulic hiss. Behind it stood a steel door with a mechanical lock. And from the other side came a sound that stopped his heart. A baby crying. Hello? His voice echoed. Is someone in there? The crying stopped. Silence. The kind that screamed to people holding their breath. I'm not going to hurt you. This was my grandfather's house. Henry Cole. Did you know him? A pause. Then a woman's voice, thick with accent and terror. Mr. Henry is he with you? Thaddeus's throat tightened. He died 6 weeks ago. A sob from inside. Please, the voice begged. Please, we need help. We've been waiting so long. Thaddeus forced the lock. The door swung open into a small, lit bunker, maybe 12 feet square. Camping lanterns. Shelves with canned food, water bottles, medical supplies. 2 narrow cots. And huddled on those cots, 2 women and 2 small children. The pregnant woman, Maria, sat with her back against the wall, one hand on her swollen belly. 8 months along, maybe more. Exhausted, dark hair matted, eyes sunken. The younger woman, Elena, stood in front of the children like a shield. A little girl, maybe 4, clutched a stuffed rabbit. A toddler boy pressed his face into Elena's shoulder. Please don't take them, Elena whispered. Mr. Henry promised we'd be safe. I'm not taking anyone. Thaddeus raised his hands. How long have you been down here? 6 weeks, Maria said, voice breaking. He brought us food every 3 days. Said men were looking for us. Said when it was safe, he'd get us papers. She touched her belly, but he stopped coming. The food ran out 4 days ago, Elena added. The water 2 days. The toddler whimpered. The little girl just stared with huge dark eyes. Okay. Thaddeus pulled out his phone. I'm calling. No. Both women shouted. Maria struggled to stand. You can't call police, Maria said urgently. The men who brought us here, they have people everywhere. That's why Mr. Henry hit us. They'll send us back, Elena whispered. Or worse. The men who own us, they don't let people go. No signal anyway. The bunker was too deep. Thaddeus looked at the women, the children, the supplies running out. All right, no police, but we need to. Maria gasped. Her hand flew to her stomach, face contorting. Water spread across the cot beneath her. No, she breathed. Not now. Not here. Elena's face went white. Maria, the baby. Another gasp. Maria doubled over, contraction rippling across her belly. How far apart? Thaddeus asked, combat medic training kicking in. This is a first, Maria panted. I've been having pains all morning. Atlas suddenly went rigid. His ears swiveled toward the open bunker door. A low growl rumbled in his chest. Immediate threat. Then Thaddeus heard it. Splashing. Footsteps in the water above. Voices. Told you Henry was hiding something down here. Check every wall. Place is flooded. They could be dead already. Then we find bodies. Victor wants proof. Elena's hand flew to her mouth. The little girl started to cry. Elena clamped a hand over her mouth, eyes wild with terror. "They found us," she whispered. Maria tried to stand, but another contraction hit. She bit down on her fist to keep from screaming. Thaddeus looked at the women, the children, the dog, the single exit. Flashlight beams danced across the flooded basement, through the gap in the false wall. Maybe 60 seconds before they found the door, found everyone inside. His grandfather had saved these people, protected them for 6 weeks. Now that mission had just become Thaddeus's. "Atlas," he whispered. "Guard." The dog moved immediately, positioning himself between the entrance and the women. Thaddeus looked at Elena. "Can you deliver a baby?" My mother was a midwife. I helped her, but that's enough." He grabbed a blanket, pressed it into her hands. "Keep Maria quiet. Keep the kid silent. No matter what you hear." "What are you going to do?" Thaddeus looked at the steel door, at the flashlight beams getting brighter. He thought about his grandfather, a man who'd kept secrets, who'd risked everything, who'd died protecting strangers. "What he would have done," Thaddeus said. "Buy you time." He stepped out, pulling the steel door closed. Atlas stayed inside, the last line of defense. Thaddeus sealed the false wall section, praying the scene would hold. Then he turned and waded toward the voices, toward the lights, toward 3 men who would kill everyone in that bunker if they knew they existed. The water was rising. Maria was in labor. And Thaddeus Cole was about to become the only thing standing between innocent lives and monsters. Thaddeus surfaced from behind the furnace, just as 3 flashlight beams converged on him. "Who the hell are you?" The voice belonged to a tall man with a shaved head and a tattoo creeping up his neck. His 2 companions, one stocky with a crooked nose, the other lean and nervous, flanked him in the waist-deep water. "I could ask you the same thing." Thaddeus kept his voice steady, his hands visible. "This is private property." The tattooed man, clearly the leader, smiled without warmth. "Henry Cole's property, and Henry's dead. So unless you're family..." "Grandson, Thaddeus Cole," he gestured to the flooded basement. "Came to assess the damage before we list it. Alone." Crooked Nose asked, suspicious. "Real estate agents upstairs. Probably calling the cops right now, actually." Thaddeus pulled out his phone, made a show of checking it. "No signal down here. You guys should probably..." "We're not going anywhere." The tattooed man waded closer. "Your grandfather owed our employer money. A lot of money. We're here to collect." Behind the false wall, Thaddeus knew Maria was fighting to stay silent through contractions. Elena was probably covering the children's mouths. Atlas was coiled like a spring, waiting. He needed to keep these men away from that wall. "Money?" Thaddeus laughed, bitter. "Look around. The place is underwater. Whatever he had is gone." "Not money exactly." The tattooed man's eyes narrowed. "Henry was holding something for us, something valuable, and we know it's down here." Thaddeus's blood went cold. They weren't here for cash. They were here for the women, for the children. "I don't know what you're talking about." He started wading toward the stairs, forcing them to follow, to move away from the back wall. "But I'm done here. You want to search a flooded basement, be my guest." The lean one grabbed his arm. "You're not going anywhere." Thaddeus's combat training screamed at him to break the grip, to fight. But fighting meant noise. Noise meant they'd hear what was happening behind that wall. Hear Maria's labored breathing. Hear a newborn's first cry. "Let go of me." He kept his voice level. The tattooed man moved closer, studying Thaddeus's face. "You know something. I can see it. Henry told you, didn't he? Before he died." "Told me what?" "That he was a paranoid old man who kept a flooded basement." Thaddeus met his gaze. "Yeah, he told me that." A sound, barely audible, came from the back wall. A soft thump, like someone shifting position, or a child dropping a stuffed rabbit. All 3 men froze. "What was that?" Crooked Nose swung his flashlight toward the back wall. "Water pressure." Thaddeus said quickly, "Pipes settling." places falling apart. But the tattooed man was already wading toward the sound, his beam scanning the concrete. Victor said Henry built something down here. A room, a hiding place. Thaddeus's heart hammered. He had seconds, maybe less. There's nothing back there but... The tattooed man's fingers found the seam. Well. He traced the barely visible line with his thumb. What do we have here? Thaddeus moved without thinking. He grabbed the nearest object, a rusted metal shelf, and shoved it into the water with a massive splash. Damn it! All three men spun toward him. The hell are you doing? The lean one shouted. Trying to get this shelf out before it collapses. Thaddeus heaved at the metal frame, making as much noise as possible. You want to help or just stand there? It was a desperate play, but it worked for exactly 5 seconds. Then, from behind the wall, came a sound that couldn't be mistaken for anything else. A baby's cry, newborn, lusty, unmistakable. The tattooed man's face split into a predatory grin. There. He moved toward the seam, fingers searching for the latch. Crooked nose and the lean one followed, excitement replacing suspicion. Thaddeus had one chance. One move before they opened that door and found Maria, Elena, the children, and Atlas. His grandfather had been a Marine, had taught him that sometimes the only way to protect people was to make yourself the bigger threat. You really want to open that door? Thaddeus said quietly. The tattooed man paused, hand on the latch. Why wouldn't I? Because my dog's on the other side. Thaddeus let his voice drop to the tone he'd used in Kandahar, the one that meant someone was about to die, and he's been trained to kill on command. So unless you want to lose your throat before you take 3 steps inside. It was a bluff. Atlas was trained to protect, not attack. But these men didn't know that. The tattooed man hesitated, just for a moment. Then he smiled. Nice try, but we didn't come this far to... A growl erupted from behind the wall. Low, rumbling, absolutely primal. Atlas had heard the threat in Thaddeus's voice and responded in kind. The lean one stepped back. Maybe we should... Open it, the tattooed man ordered. The latch clicked. The door began to swing open, and Thaddeus Cole, with no weapon and no plan, did the only thing he could think of. He lunged forward and slammed his full weight against the door, trapping the tattooed man's arm in the gap. The man screamed. Crooked Nose grabbed Thaddeus from behind. The lean one dove for the door. Inside the bunker, Atlas barked, sharp, protective, desperate. And somewhere in the chaos, barely audible over the shouting and splashing and barking, came another sound. A baby's second cry. Stronger this time. Alive. Maria had given birth. In silence. In terror. While 3 men tried to break down the door. Thaddeus felt hands on his throat, pulling him back. Felt his grip on the door slipping. Felt everything his grandfather had protected for 6 weeks about to be torn away. Then Sharon's voice echoed down the stairs. Mr. Cole? The police are here. They said they got a call about trespassers. The hands on Thaddeus's throat loosened. The tattooed man yanked his arm free, cursing. We're done here. For now. Victor will be back, he hissed at Thaddeus. And next time, we're bringing bolt cutters. The 3 men waded toward the stairs, shooting venomous looks back. Thaddeus waited until he heard the front door slam. Waited until Sharon called down again, confused. Waited until his hands stopped shaking. Then he opened the bunker door. The bunker smelled of blood, sweat, and something else. Something clean and new that didn't belong in a concrete tomb beneath a flooded basement. Maria lay on the cot, pale and exhausted, cradling a tiny bundle wrapped in Thaddeus's grandfather's old Marine Corps blanket. The baby, a girl, had stopped crying and was making soft mewling sounds against her mother's chest. Elena knelt beside them, her hands still shaking as she cleaned up with supplies from the medical kit. Sophia, the 4-year-old, pressed against her side, staring at the baby with wide eyes. Carlos, the toddler, had finally fallen asleep in the corner, thumb in his mouth. Atlas sat at attention by the door, ears forward, still on guard. Thaddeus stood frozen in the doorway, his throat tight. He delivered babies before. 3 times in Afghanistan, under fire, with nothing but a combat medic kit and prayers. But this was different. This was his grandfather's mission, his grandfather's secret, his grandfather's promise. And now it was his. "Is she okay?" he asked quietly. Elena nodded, not looking up. Small, maybe 5 pounds, but breathing well, strong heartbeat. She finally met his eyes. "You saved them. All of us. For now." Thaddeus stepped inside, closing the door behind him. "But those men will be back. And next time they won't be alone." Maria looked up at him, tears streaming down her face. "I'm sorry. I tried to stay quiet. I tried." "You did perfectly." Thaddeus knelt beside the cot. "You're incredibly brave. Both of you." "We're not brave," Elena said bitterly. "We're trapped. We've been trapped since the day they brought us across the border." "Tell me about Victor," Thaddeus said. "Who is he?" The 2 women exchanged glances. Maria clutched her baby tighter. "Victor Kozlov," Elena finally said. "He runs everything. Trafficking routes from Mexico to Canada. Labor, drugs, people. He owns half the trucking companies in the Midwest. Has police, judges, immigration officers on his payroll." She swallowed hard. "We were supposed to work in his factories, sewing, packaging, 16-hour days. But Maria got pregnant, and I tried to help her escape. Your grandfather found us," Maria whispered. 3 months ago, we were hiding in an abandoned warehouse, starving. He brought us food. Didn't ask questions. Just said." Her voice broke. "He said no one deserves to be owned, that he'd fought a war to prove that." Thaddeus felt something crack in his chest. His grandfather, the quiet man who'd watched baseball and complained about his knees, had been running an underground railroad, alone, at 83 years old. "How many others?" he asked. "We don't know," Elena said. "He never told us. Said it was safer that way. But he had contacts. People who could move us, get us papers, help us disappear. He was waiting for the right time. And then he died." Thaddeus finished. Maria nodded, tears falling onto her baby's blanket. "We heard the water coming. Heard it rising. We thought we'd drown down here. That no one would ever find us." Sophia tugged on Elena's sleeve. "Are the bad men coming back?" Her voice was so small, so terrified. Elena pulled her close. "No, Mija, we're safe now." But she looked at Thaddeus when she said it, and he saw the question in her eyes. "Are we?" Thaddeus stood, pacing the small bunker. His mind raced through options, scenarios, outcomes. All of them bad. "We can't stay here," he said. "The water is still rising. And Victor's men know about this place now." "Where can we go?" Maria asked. "We have no papers, no money, and now..." She looked down at her newborn. "Now I have her." Atlas suddenly stood, ears swiveling toward the door. A low growl rumbled in his chest. Thaddeus froze. Someone's upstairs. Footsteps, slow, deliberate, moving through the house above them. "They came back," Elena breathed, pulling Sophia behind her. "No." Thaddeus listened carefully. Different gate, lighter, just one person. A voice called down the basement stairs. Female, elderly, with a thick Eastern European accent. "Thaddeus Cole? If you're down there, you need to listen very carefully. You have exactly 12 hours before Victor sends his entire crew to tear this house apart. And when they do, they won't leave witnesses." Thaddeus looked at the women, the children, the newborn baby. Then he moved to the bunker door, cracked it open, and called up, "Who are you?" "Someone your grandfather trusted. Someone who can get these people out. But only if you do exactly what I say." "Why should I trust you?" A pause. Then, "Because Henry Cole saved my daughter 20 years ago, and I've been paying that debt ever since. Now stop wasting time and get up here. The clock is ticking." Thaddeus climbed the stairs into the living room. The woman stood by the window, watching the street with the practiced vigilance of someone who'd spent decades looking over her shoulder. "My name is Irina," she said without turning. "I run a network, safe houses, transport, documents. Your grandfather was part of it, one of the best. She handed him a manila envelope. Inside were birth certificates, social security cards, vaccination records, all perfectly forged. New identities for 2 women and 3 children. He requested these 3 weeks ago. Irina continued. He knew Maria was close to delivery. Knew they'd need to move fast once the baby came. Thaddeus stared at the documents. His grandfather had planned for everything, except dying. What's the plan? He asked. I have a truck waiting 2 miles from here, old textile mill on Riverside. We move them tonight. Drive to a safe house in Minnesota. From there, Canada within a week. A newborn can't travel. She's hours old. She doesn't have a choice. Irina's voice was steel. Victor doesn't forgive. If we don't move them tonight, they're dead. And so are you. Thaddeus looked at the envelope, at the life his grandfather had lived in secret. What do you need from me? Your truck, your time, your silence. She paused. And maybe your life, if things go wrong. How do we get them to the mill without being seen? Irina pulled out a hand-drawn map. Storm drains. Your grandfather mapped the entire system. There's a tunnel that runs from this basement to the mill's loading dock. 1/4 mile underground. With a newborn and a 4-year-old. It's the only way. Victor's men are watching the roads, the alleys, every exit from this neighborhood. She met his eyes. Your grandfather used those tunnels to move 17 people in 2 years. It works. Thaddeus thought about Maria, exhausted and bleeding, about Sophia's terrified face, about a baby who'd taken her first breath in a concrete tomb. When do we leave? 2 hours. After dark. I need time to position the truck. Make sure Victor's crew hasn't found it. She handed him the burner phone. You get them ready. Pack light, only essentials. And Thaddeus, her voice softened. Your grandfather talked about you. Said you were the only family he had left. Said you'd understand when the time came. Understand what? That some promises cost everything, and they're still worth keeping. She moved toward the door, then stopped. One more thing. Victor's men, they planted a GPS tracker somewhere in that bunker. That's how they knew to come here. Find it and destroy it, or they'll follow us all the way to Canada. Then she was gone, disappearing into the twilight like smoke. Thaddeus stood alone in his grandfather's living room, holding forged documents and a burner phone. With 4 lives depending on decisions he'd make in the next 2 hours. He went back down to the bunker. Maria was nursing the baby, her face gray with exhaustion. Elena was repacking their bags with shaking hands. Sophia sat in the corner, clutching her stuffed rabbit. Carlos slept on, oblivious. We're leaving, Thaddeus said. In 2 hours. Through the storm drains. Elena looked up sharply. Storm drains? With a newborn? It's the only way out. Victor's men are watching everything else. I can't. Maria's voice broke. I just gave birth. I can barely stand. I know. Thaddeus knelt beside her. But if we stay here, Victor will come back with enough men to tear this house apart. And he won't leave witnesses. Sophia started crying. I don't want to go in the dark. The tunnels are scary. Thaddeus looked at Atlas, at the dog who'd led him to this impossible choice. Atlas will be with you. He'll keep you safe. The dog moved Sophia's side, pressing against her. She buried her face in his fur. There's something else, Thaddeus said. Victor's men planted a tracker somewhere in here. We need to find it before we leave. They searched frantically, bags, clothes, the medical supplies. Elena found it sewn into the lining of Maria's diaper bag, a small black device, no bigger than a quarter. Thaddeus crushed it under his boot. Now they're blind, he said. Now we have a chance. He helped them pack, only essentials, nothing that would slow them down. Diapers, formula, water, the forged documents. Maria's baby, wrapped tight in the Marine Corps blanket. At exactly 9 p.m., they opened the bunker door and stepped into the flooded basement. The storm drain entrance was hidden behind the furnace, a rusted grate that Thaddeus pried open with a crowbar. Beyond it, darkness. the sound of running water, the smell of earth and decay. "I'll go first," Thaddeus said. Then Elena with Sophia. Then Maria with the baby. Atlas brings up the rear. He dropped into the tunnel, landing in ankle-deep water. His flashlight beam cut through the darkness, revealing concrete walls covered in moss and graffiti. One by one, they descended into the earth. And somewhere above them, Victor's men were coming. The tunnel was a nightmare. Water rushed past their ankles, cold and filthy. The concrete walls pressed close, forcing them to crouch and shuffle forward in single file. Sophia whimpered with each step. The baby cried, thin, desperate wails that echoed off the walls like sirens announcing their location. How much farther? Elena gasped, supporting Maria's weight. Thaddeus checked the map on his phone, the screen's glow reflecting off the slick walls. 300 yards. Maybe 10 minutes if we keep moving. Maria stumbled, crying out. Blood stained her pants. Too much blood. The birth had taken everything from her. And now, they were asking her to run through a flooded storm drain with a newborn in her arms. "I can't," she sobbed. "I can't do this." "Yes, you can." Elena gripped her arm tighter. "For her, for your daughter, you can do this." Behind them, Atlas suddenly stopped. His ears swiveled backward and a low growl rumbled from his chest. The same warning growl he'd used in Afghanistan when insurgents were close. Thaddeus froze. "What is it, boy?" The dog's entire body was rigid, focused on the tunnel behind them. Then Thaddeus heard it too, splashing. Footsteps, multiple people moving fast through the water, their voices echoing off the concrete. Has to be down here somewhere. Victor wants them alive, but they resist. "They're in the tunnels," Thaddeus breathed. "Move. Now." They stumbled forward, trying to run in the cramped space. Maria cried out in pain with each step, clutching her baby against her chest. Sophia was sobbing, her stuffed rabbit dragging through the filthy water. Carlos woke up and started screaming in Elena's arms. "There!" Thaddeus pointed ahead where his flashlight beam caught a wider opening. "Junction chamber. We can lose them there." The tunnel opened into a circular space where 4 storm drains converged. Graffiti covered the walls. Empty bottles and debris floated in the deeper water. The ceiling rose to maybe 8 feet, enough to stand upright. Thaddeus pulled him into the shadows against the far wall, killed his flashlight. They pressed into the darkness, breathing hard, trying to stay silent. But the baby wouldn't stop crying. Maria rocked her desperately, tears streaming down her face. "Please, Mija, please be quiet." She tried to nurse her, tried to soothe her, but the newborn was cold and terrified, and her cries bounced off every surface, amplifying the junction chamber like a beacon. Footsteps splashed closer. Flashlight beams cut through the darkness, sweeping the tunnels one by one. I heard something, a voice called, "Male," Russian accent, down the east tunnel. "Check it. I'll take north." 2 men, maybe more behind them, and they were seconds away from finding them. Atlas pressed against Thaddeus's leg, muscles coiled like springs. The dog was ready to attack, ready to defend, but Thaddeus knew what happened. Gunfire in a confined space, ricochets, the baby caught in crossfire. He made a decision. "Take them," he whispered to Elena, pointing to the north tunnel, the one that led straight to the textile mill. 200 yards. Irina's waiting at the loading dock. "What are you?" "I'm the distraction." He pressed the forged documents into her hands, then pulled his grandfather's pistol from his waistband. "Get them out. That's all that matters now." "Thaddeus, no." "Go." He pushed her toward the tunnel. "Atlas, guard. Protect them." The dog whined, torn between his handler and his mission. "That's an order, boy. Protect." Atlas moved to Elena's side, positioning himself between her and the approaching men. Thaddeus took a breath, then splashed deliberately loud to the south tunnel, away from the women, away from the children, drawing Victor's men after him like a wounded animal leading predators from the den. "There!" A shout behind him. "I see him." Gunfire erupted. Bullets ricocheted off concrete, sparking in the darkness. Thaddeus ran, water spraying, his grandfather's pistol gripped tight, as the footsteps thundered after him. Behind him, in the junction chamber, Elena pulled Maria into the north tunnel. Sophia clutched her mother's hand. Carlos buried his face in Elena's shoulder. The baby's cries faded as they moved toward safety, toward the promise his grandfather had died keeping. Thaddeus burst from the storm drain into an alley behind the textile mill, Victor's men seconds behind. He had his grandfather's pistol, 6 bullets, and maybe one chance to buy them enough time. The final fight was coming, and he was ready. Thaddeus pressed his back against the brick wall of the textile mill, chest heaving. 2 men emerged from the storm drain, weapons drawn. A third circled from the loading dock. Nowhere to run. "Soldier boy," the lead man said, the same voice from the bunker. "Dimitri, Victor just wants the women. Give them up, you walk away." "Not happening." Dimitri shrugged. "Your funeral." The first shot came from the left. Thaddeus dropped, rolled, returned fire. 1 down. The second man charged. Thaddeus caught him with a combat move his grandfather had taught him decades ago, disarming him, using his momentum against him. 2 down. Dimitri raised his weapon. A truck engine roared to life. Irina's vehicle burst from the loading dock, headlights blazing, Elena visible in the passenger seat, clutching the children. Dimitri spun toward, and Thaddeus tackled him from behind. They hit the pavement hard. The gun skittered away. "They're gone!" Thaddeus gasped, pinning him down. "It's over." Dimitri laughed, blood on his teeth. "Victor has people everywhere. Canada, Mexico, every border crossing. He'll find them. Maybe, but not tonight." Sirens wailed in the distance. Someone had called the police. Thaddeus zip-tied Dimitri's hands with supplies from his tactical vest, then disappeared into the shadows before the red and blue lights arrived. 3 weeks later, Thaddeus stood in his grandfather's house, now his house. The flood damage was being repaired. The bunker had been sealed. Atlas lay at his feet, finally at peace. On the kitchen table sat a letter, forwarded through Irina's network. No return address, just careful handwriting on plain paper. "Dear Thaddeus, we made it, all of us. Baby Hope is healthy and growing stronger every day. Sophia talks about Atlas constantly and draws pictures of him. Carlos took his first steps yesterday. Maria is healing. Your grandfather saved us, but you gave us freedom. He told us once that some men spend their whole lives looking for a mission worth dying for. He said he'd found 17 of them. We were his last. Now we understand you were his mission too. He was teaching you, preparing you, trusting you to carry on what he started. We will never forget the Cole family. Never forget what you risked for strangers in a flooded basement. Thank you for keeping his promise. M&D." Thaddeus folded the letter carefully, placed it in his grandfather's Bible next to the Purple Heart and the faded photograph of a young Marine who'd learned that some promises cost everything, and they're still worth keeping. He looked down at Atlas. "Ready for the next one, boy?" The dog's tail thumped once against the floor. Somewhere out there, someone else needed help. Someone else was trapped, terrified, waiting for a promise to be kept. And Thaddeus Cole, like his grandfather before him, would be ready. Because that's what heroes do. They keep breathing. They keep fighting. They keep the promise. If this story moved you, please like, share, and subscribe to Loyal Paws Chronicles for more tales where loyalty meets legend.